All right. Hey, what's that sound? Sounds like Sparktacular 2020.
The election special.
The election special. You know what time it is. This is Julius. We have Alex. I thought you were saying.
I was like, I was pretty sure you forgot my name and that you were literally like, what is her name? I'm going to come to it.
No.
And so I just waited to see if you would remember or not.
I just hate introducing. Okay. I'll be honest.
Okay, so you should have said like,
My bad.
and then I would have been like, I'm Alex. But instead you just stared at me like, what is your name?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
man.
So let's try this one more time.
Just one more time.
It's cool. No, we're going. We're good. We obviously know this is Julius and Alex.
All right,
Yes.
take three.
No.
It's all
We're good.
good. It's all good.
Take whatever
So
we're
we're
on
keeping
now.
this all in?
It's all in. All in, baby.
All in, baby.
It's Sparktacular 2020. No.
No.
Everybody.
JP is not in charge of the cutting.
This is who we are. I did not forget Alex's name. I want everybody to hear how beautiful her voice is, though, which is why if she could say her name, it'd be amazing.
I'm Alex.
Yes. And we also have,
I'm JP.
and we also are tickling the ivories. We have,
Tickling the plastics is Cody.
it's a synthesizer, if anybody was guessing. Y'all, this is Spark in the Valley.
If we seem a little rowdy, it's later than we usually record.
It is the day
It's been-
after election day,
It has been
and we have not
crazy, hellish week.
decided our winner yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all sitting on pins and needles.
Yeah.
Kind of anxious.
Yeah.
But we're here. We wanted to put something together because I mean that's what we do. That's why we're doing this.
We also want to keep it light and bring some laughter to
Yeah.
such an ominous time. Is ominous the right word?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Foreboding?
Alex is the one to ask that.
Yeah.
Foreboding.
Foreboding. Ominous. It is an ominous time.
It's driving me nuts. It's crazy, right?
But-
Anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
Guys, we
yes.
had a great time yesterday though.
Oh man, yesterday
had
was
so
one of the
much fun.
funnest times that I had. All things considered,
Yeah.
seriously, one of the funnest, most fun days that I've had in a long time.
It was interesting. I've actually never had shenanigans like such.
Oh, and just so you all know, yesterday was election day for us.
Yes.
We'll be releasing this on Thursday, but
No, maybe.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
hopefully.
We'll release this as soon as possible. It is the election week.
Yeah,
We all-
and it is for us. We are recording on the day after the election. It's
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yep.
November the 4th.
But yesterday we had a really good time in Athens, Tennessee. We had Cody and JP dressed up in their
Revolutionary.
revolutionary attire.
Yeah.
Garb. I love it. BDUs. Right?
Yeah.
Would they have gone on the battlefield? Not really. They would
Probably
have
not. No, this is
Yeah,
after they were in the war and raised their status.
Got
Yeah,
it.
my hair was too perfectly coiffed to have ever been in a war.
Nice. But we have some footage from that. We were able to speak with a representative, a council member.
Yeah, he's running
Yeah.
for Athens City Council.
He was running and was elected.
was
Yes.
elected.
He was
Yeah.
elected.
Jordan Curtis.
Yes,
He had,
congratulations to Mr.
he had
Curtis.
some great things to say.
He did.
He was so nice. I've known him for a few years now, and he said so. Yeah, he'll tell you about it in the interview. But
Yeah, so we were able to interview him. We also interviewed some other people from the Friendly City. We'll have those.
Friendly
Yeah.
city.
Friendly City. if any-
we got some great. I got a nice little interview with first time voter.
Yes. Congratulations
that was
to the
awesome.
first-time voters.
Yeah, congratulations.
All
All
first-time
voters. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yes.
But regardless of how you voted,
Or who you voted
we're
for, yeah.
proud
Yes.
that you got out and
Yes.
'Cause
and
that's what we're
voted.
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to spark change. If we can make or help one person know that their vote does count, regardless of what lines they've been fed in the past, regardless of what thoughts that they may have had, if they can go out and do the one thing that makes an American, that's important.
I salute
And that's
that.
true democracy.
That's
That's what
beautiful.
that's what this country was founded for.
There you go. There you go. So we'll be showing that as well. If you're following us on YouTube, we're gonna have those visuals.
Yeah, if you're,
social medias.
if you're listening,
Social-
it's definitely worth a watch to go to our YouTube channel
Absolutely.
and watch the video.
Yeah,
Yes,
those
yes.
videos are going to be really great.
Yeah.
And
Just look up Spark in the Valley,
Yeah.
and we'll come up.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into it. Obviously, we've already stated it's the day after Election Day. We got the I don't even know what to call the coverage going on in the background right now when we're looking at our electoral map and who has the most votes.
It's going to be contentious.
Yeah,
It's going to be contentious. I mean, it is already.
It's a close race, guys. It's
It's
real
very close. Too close for comfort.
As we're sitting here right now, Biden's ahead 40 electoral votes. But I mean, the night is young, the week is young. All
And-
these lawsuits that are already coming up and everything. I mean, it's going to be a while. It's
Yeah.
going to be a tough couple of weeks, maybe even longer. Who knows?
And this is CNN. They haven't even called Arizona yet. A lot of places have called Arizona for Biden, so it's like
Which I appreciate.
better numbers, but
Oh, hey. 51% to 47 with 82% reporting. So I mean, it
in
looks
Arizona?
like, yeah, it looks like 90,000 votes are Joe Biden's lead
Okay.
in
Yeah.
Arizona, and
Very
in
interesting.
Nevada. Nevada's the close one. It looks like
Yeah,
we're
Nevada's
at a
super
point.
close.
We've been at
0.6%.
this for a long time.
Point
So they
six.
haven't updated this number in a while.
Yeah, it's been that all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got Georgia as well, 49.8% toward Donald Trump, but he's only ahead 39,000 votes, or 40,000, with 95% of the estimated vote already coming in. But Georgia is that one state where we had a lot of different things going on. We had that pipe main burst in Atlanta that delayed a lot of votes coming in, and the president has taken offense to those votes still being
Was that
counted.
Atlanta or Pennsylvania?
What part?
The water bursting.
That's Atlanta.
Oh, was it
Yeah,
Atlanta?
I'd heard that last
Wow.
night, but I
I didn't hear anything about that.
everything.
I heard
Yeah.
that it didn't affect any of the ballots. It affected their ability to count
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's taking more time. But none of the ballots got damaged, as far as I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
what
was
they
never.
said,
Yeah,
that
there was
none of
no
them got
damage to
hurt.
ballots.
Which is good.
But yeah, I mean, as you've
But-
been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But all this will be different by the time people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
listening to this.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just reporting things as they are at the
Yeah.
time of this recording.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're definitely going to be coming back next week, and we're gonna hopefully wrap up this conversation. But I feel like this is going to be going on. We're going to be talking
Yeah.
about this for a little bit.
For a little while.
I think this election's going to go down in history.
history.
I mean, I
It
really
already
think
has.
it is.
Biden has had more votes than any other president has ever had.
Which
Well-
means
Yeah.
Donald Trump has the second
Which
And they-
highest
says,
votes of any.
says something about overpopulation more than anything else, right?
Well, it also talks up to how important this election was that people.
I
went out and
agree.
voted.
No,
Yeah,
people
no,
turned
that-
out.
that-
It's just
amazing.
Number-wise and percentage.
I have to say that
Worldwide, the entire world is watching this.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
always
Yeah.
watching, man. It's
my
like-
Australian friend, she messaged me and she was like, literally the only thing on TV is American politics
Yeah.
for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family in Guatemala and Colombia are sitting on pins and needles trying to figure out what direction our country is going, because whether we like it or not, our country views itself as the world police, and we decide the way that a lot of the things in this world go.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that want to sit at home and not think that the election matters to anyone. I mean, it matters to the entire world, because America, being the superpower that it is, debatable at this point, but being the superpower that it is, it has that impact, it has that effect, and it has ripples
Yeah.
that of consequence around the entire world.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into, already you've been hearing a little bit of a snapshot of where we are currently in our election, if you're listening. And what JP is saying right now kind of brings us to like the start of kind of like the foundation of this episode, which is why it's so important to vote. Why does somebody, when you go out in the street and somebody's picketing or what is it called, electioneering, when they tell you to go vote, what does that strike in your heart when someone says, "Oh, just go vote"?
You always have that follow-up question: for who, why?
yeah.
For
Uh,
what?
for
I
what?
mean,
Yeah.
I've honestly that's a personal responsibility for you to inform yourself.
I kind of agree too. I think that it's the whole point is that you need to be civically engaged. You need to know what's going on in your district, in your state, in your region, in the country. You need to know what's going on. It's up to you to go out there. It's not hard to find information on these people. I mean, they're all over the place. They have ads, they have websites, they have social media. There's so many places.
They're out there telling you.
I mean, I literally made a pamphlet about the Senate candidates, the Democratic Senate candidates, for people that we handed out at the Democratic headquarters, so people would just be able to read their platforms like right off of a pamphlet.
That's
so
great.
People are doing stuff like that everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you need to inform yourself about where you are and what you're responsible for voting for.
Yeah.
You know, it's not someone else's job to tell you who to vote for. In fact, I think that's kind of
That's not
kind of like,
yeah.
Well, I think that's maybe kind of gauche. Like if somebody walked up to me and they were like, "These are the people you need to vote for," I would be like, "Excuse me? I think I'm going to vote for who I want to vote for, who I think is best aligned with the things that are important to me. I'm not just going to vote for them because you told me to vote for them."
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the important part where a lot of people talk about voting your conscience is vote the things that are important to you, not the things that were important to daddy or mom or grandma or anybody. Vote for the things that are going to be important to you and the people right directly around you.
Yeah.
Because your inner circle is going to eventually get affected by the change that is happening at the nationwide level.
Yeah.
Depending on who you vote for, different policies can get enacted, different measures can be passed, and ballot measures can go through and stuff like that. And it's important to be engaged civically. You don't have to do what we're doing. You don't have to create a radio show or a podcast. You don't have to do all of the stuff that we're doing right now. But you do have that obligation to yourself and your immediate circle to at least know what's going on.
So a part of that is making sure that you're getting the information from a credible source.
Reputable source.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yes, misinformation.
Right.
Yeah, I know. You absolutely have to do your own research and make sure that you're getting that information either from, like
Alex.
I'm Alex.
Information.
She parts her hair the other way.
I don't think she's calling in this week. I think she's too busy.
Is she too busy?
I think that if you go straight to candidates' websites and social media, that is one of the best ways to know what that candidate is about.
Okay.
And then also if you're reading about the candidates and reading about things, especially in like regional areas and stuff. Like I know for us, we're in Tennessee, so the Tennessean is like a really important newspaper. It's been around a really long time. They're pretty straight and narrow when it comes to Tennessee politics.
Okay.
And so you can trust those like larger statewide newspapers to tell you about local candidates. And then of course you can always contact their campaigns and they're happy to give you information about what they stand for, or where you can go to a town hall and meet that person, or where you can go to a Q&A and meet that person. We had 2 from Meg Gorman in Athens in a course of a couple of months.
Yeah.
So you have to make a point to go out and meet those candidates, not just read about them. Try to get out there and meet them, ask them a question, see how they answer, see how they react to you. All of those things are reasons why I decided to vote for Meg or Marquita, is because I met them in person and I was like, yeah, this person is worth my vote. Like they're great.
And speaking of Meg, she did lose her race, which it's Tennessee, and she was running as a Democrat, so it's
against an incumbent. So
it's very difficult.
But we still got to give it up to
we got to give it up to her. Meg 2020.
We're gonna have her on the show again. And
I do want to say, I know Meg is a listener, and I just want you to know, Meg, we really do appreciate you taking the time, speaking with us that day.
Yeah.
The
And
times that
your
you came
voice
down
is still important.
to our county and spoke with us, it was truly nice to be able to sit down with someone that was going to be running, finding out firsthand what answers that they could give us on some questions, and being, like what you said, getting that information from a credible source. You don't get any more credible than the horse's mouth.
Yeah, she has such a unique perspective now.
Exactly.
That's going to be invaluable.
And I mean, she's a young person. She still has many races that she can go for. Many different things that she has the possibility of winning.
Yeah.
She's a true inspiration to other young people here in the state, because it's good to know that you don't have to be an old person to be in politics.
Yeah, we just elected the youngest congressperson ever, 25, Madison Cawthorn.
Wow.
Of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Which ran as a Republican. I don't know anything about their politics, but the fact that a 25-year-old, which is the minimum age.
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah.
younger than any of us here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's amazing. You know, it doesn't matter as long as younger people can see that there is a future for them in politics.
Yeah,
like
there's representation now. Like
exactly. And speaking of representation, we've got Florida that just elected their first openly transgender congressperson in Monica DePaul. So I mean, congratulations. I didn't expect that from Florida.
Yeah.
You know, but it's great that it happened. It definitely needs to happen. We have to have more representation amongst all types of people because I mean, America is a melting pot. You've heard it a million times.
And that was Congress, you said, in Florida?
Yeah.
And then we had the state senator in Delaware that's also transgender.
It's awesome.
Wow. So there's progression going on.
No,
across
yeah.
the nation.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be just like everyone in Congress is going to be transgender or everyone's going to be gay.
Right.
Like, it's just,
but the
there has to-
representation
exactly.
is
The
there.
representation is important because
Yeah.
people that are transgender, people that are homosexual,
Yeah.
they need to know that there is someone out there fighting battles for them.
So that kind of goes to another thing that I wanted to bring up. How, in your opinion, all of our opinions, how has all of this changed in the last 4 years?
Like, what do you mean all of this?
Sorry, elections. Like in your eyes, like
Well, if you look at the numbers, really not much has changed at all.
Exactly. I think that's really one of the most, it's in direct juxtaposition with all of these, like, look at these happy things that have happened. Like, but those are small victories. I hate to say it because every victory is a great victory and I'm glad for anything that is pushing us forward. But those are small victories when we're looking at possibly losing Senate seats to Republicans, possibly losing, you know, this election to Trump, when I was just so convinced that the early turnout really indicated that people were sick and tired of the last 4 years and they were turning out in a way they didn't turn out in 2016. So that's something that is very different and not the same. 2016, a lot of people did not show up. 2020, people showed up, but yet the numbers look almost exactly the same. And I just don't understand how the last 4 years have not made an impact on half of our country.
They did.
and we'll
I mean, they did that. That is the impact. People are out there to make their voice heard one way or the other. But the people went out. And it really did help. I mean, like, I hate to say that the pandemic helped anything, but the pandemic helped to get people to understand the power of the mail-in vote.
Did we see more voter suppression this go round than
Well, I don't
than
think,
last?
I don't think
I'm
we've seen
sure.
as much
They
voter
tried.
suppression. They definitely tried, but I think what we're seeing is a lot of one party who shall not be named that is trying to delegitimize people's votes.
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
that might be the voter suppression that you're talking about and disenfranchisement, honestly, because
There was a lot of suppression. Just to put it out there, a lot of the suppression that's being used for voter suppression techniques is entrenched in our systems and cannot be broken out of those systems. So every time we have an election, we have voter suppression problems.
Wow.
Because it comes down to precinct locations are harder and more sparingly found in black and brown areas,
Right.
making
Well,
it
we
more
even had our
difficult
own
for them to
issues,
vote.
right? I mean, Athens had their own issues with different.
Oh, they
positions
changed
changing
the
Yeah, they changed the
precinct at the polling place at the last minute.
the
and-
last
and
minute.
And a
Let's-
lot of people went to the courthouse and
Let's-
got really shitty treatment from
So-
the people there and then didn't go
Wow.
vote because they were like,
there
well,
you go.
screw you, you know?
So off of that, I spoke with an official in the Democratic Party because I brought that up. I was like, what's going on? I had to go on because I mean I did not want to get purged because I got purged in 16. Luckily, I was able to re-register in time, but I did not want that to happen. So I was constantly checking on govotetn.com,
Okay.
making sure that my voter registration was up to date.
GoVoteTN.com.
It was up until like a couple of weeks ago that I saw that my polling place had changed from the McMinn County Courthouse to the McMinn County School, the Board of Education building. It was over by the Food City, a block and a half, 2 blocks away, but it was different. Okay, that was the first time that I'd ever had to vote there, right? It wasn't even a polling station before. The reason why, and I reached out to a representative, was obviously COVID. There's a bigger space so people could be separated. But then I asked, I was like, well, why did nobody let us know? Like, why weren't we informed? The answer that I got was things were mailed out, that mailers were sent out letting people know that the polling place had changed. But I'll be honest, me and at least one other person that I spoke with said that we had never received a mailer for that. And I'm sorry, but that to me speaks extreme. Like, it reeks of voter suppression.
Yeah.
It reeks of it. And I mean, I understand the pandemic has taken a toll on a lot of different things, and it's made people have to make changes on the fly. But that still doesn't explain why there couldn't have been 2, 3, 4 signs, one at each corner of the courthouse saying, the polling place has changed, go here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to what
There's not enough that was being done.
Right.
There was a lot more that could have been done for people to know.
That's it.
Where to go vote.
There you go. And I would, anybody that's listening that may have had issues with their polling places,
we'd love to hear your story.
We'd love to hear your story.
Please.
Did you get any information in the mail?
Something super interesting that we experienced yesterday. We went to the courthouse, and there were Shelly. I forgot his last name, but great guy. He was taking people who are currently COVID positive, and he was in full gear, taking their ballots and running them in and running the ballots for them.
Which is amazing. Yeah,
which is,
everyone deserved to be able to vote.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I heard a lot of one thing I'd like to bring up is about the fellow that we talked to yesterday. And we had a very interesting conversation. He was
very interesting fellow.
He didn't want to be filmed, but I think we can talk about.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get him recorded, but
I think talking about the conversation is going to be just as good as actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good anecdote to be able to put out kind of the experiences that we were, the reception that we were getting going out, and we only went around our county, which is McMinn County here in Tennessee. We started the day, me and Julius and Rob, we all met up at the Etowah Community Center, and that did not go the way that we thought it was going to go. Reconvened later at the county board, and that was some of the best responses that we could have gotten when we were out there. Took a ride over to Ingleside, spoke with Mr. Curtis. Again, congratulations.
Just to set the scene for you, I was also playing my trumpet pretty much the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely going to be uploading all these videos over the next few weeks, letting everybody kind of see what our shenanigans were. That way we can everyone can kind of see the turnout. And also, I mean, it was a good experience. It was really nice to be able to talk to people in the county, regardless of their politics.
Yeah, we talked to a multitude of different backgrounds and people who we talked to Trump supporters. We talked to Biden supporters. We talked to some. I don't know if we filmed any of it. I talked to several Kanye West supporters.
Nice.
Spoken to a few of those today.
Yeah, which is interesting. 10,000 votes for Kanye West in Tennessee.
Wild.
How is Kanye doing right now? Everybody checked on Kanye?
His wife just turned 40, and they had a big party on a private island.
Wow.
Kim K is 40?
She's 40.
Oh.
Yeah. Also, Kim K is way smarter than anyone gives her credit for.
I saw her reading a book on molecular biology.
Nice.
Yeah.
She can.
She actually is really.
She's smart.
Much more deep than I think she is.
She's mostly self-made. I mean,
that's incredible. What she has built, that is awesome. I mean, I have no idea how they did it.
That's what I don't get. Yeah, I've never understood the Kanye thing.
Hey man, Kanye, as much as people want to not like him as a person, musically.
Yeah, but you don't marry a man for his music. You marry him for who he is as a person. That's what I'm saying. How do you live with that?
It's all good.
Back to this conversation.
It's all good.
The fellow that in particular that we talked to, he had some differing viewpoints than all of us. But really, the whole point of this podcast is to be able to have these conversations and not shy away from them. Which, I didn't agree with most of the things he said, but he did stay there and talk to us.
For a different person, it would have been extremely easy for them to just walk away or get angry or get mad or start screaming. But that's the point of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We need to have those conversations, and they're tough. They're hard. And they're cringy on the inside. You just want to be anywhere but there. But the admirable thing is to stay there and continue having that conversation even if you don't want to, even if it's hard.
But that goes back to what Alex was saying in the beginning about being, educated and informed on the situation, because a lot of people shy away from the conversation because they aren't educated about it.
Exactly.
They don't know what to say when you ask them why you voted for somebody. I've seen that several times where somebody doesn't even know. They don't even know the answer to why they're voting for Trump
that's
or
And you have to
whatever.
respect that. No, we have to respect that, because that is that person as an individual, whatever it is that they saw in. Listen, what's the guy's name from? He did some Marvel movie and it's got a little bear in it or something. It's like Across the Galaxy or Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay.
You didn't know Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians
Got a
of the
little
Galaxy.
bear.
Man.
There, Rocket
It's a raccoon.
Oh, it's a raccoon.
Rocky
Okay.
is an
Rocky
American tradition.
What is the guy's name in the show? In
Chris
the movie?
Pratt?
Chris Pratt. He has recently come out as a well-known and loved and boot-looking Trump supporter.
What?
So the idea,
Chris Pratt's
it's
been a thing.
yes,
Oh, it's
I
been a
had
thing.
no idea.
That's
big thing
heartbreaking.
right now. It's heartbreaking, right? But that's the idea, right?
Did you see Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
He was
Lil
only
Pump.
following one person on social media. It was his girlfriend. And today it comes out he's following 0 people because he's a Trump supporter and she left him because of it.
Well, so that's the idea.
Ain't that too bad for you, little Tunchi?
That sucks, right? Sure, he has tons to pick from.
Yeah.
But the idea is that people latch on to, a source of inspiration from an individual that they don't know anything about. And so when, people grow up, we talked about this already, kind of like when people grow up and they have this nostalgia attached onto these ideas, a lot of the times the ideas are not rooted in an educated thought or an informed thought.
Yeah, it's a lot of conjecture. It's just people's gut feeling. People like to vote with their gut. And while I understand that, you also got to understand the politicians, their job is to put a front on.
Yeah.
Is to make you believe what they're saying.
Right.
That's politics for
Right.
you. I mean, on either side, that's what the job is. And
Their job is to tell us the truth.
oh,
It's just that they've
No.
made it a point to make sure the politicians don't do their jobs.
in an ideal world, that would be their job.
Yeah.
In 2020, their job is to make you want them,
Yeah.
and to make you want them by any means necessary.
Yeah.
They will tell you whatever.
Well-
but you have to be able to separate what they're telling you from their record,
Yeah.
from the way that they're telling you. You have to be able to think deeper. Yeah, you have to think deep. You have to be able to analyze a person or a politician's character, their stances, what they believe in, and then be able to make an informed decision from that if you can't get the information from their actual policy points.
There you go. So after yesterday, so we heard from Cody's experience, it was all of our experience with a specific gentleman, but JP, did you have a personal experience at all with anybody?
Whew, did I have personal experiences yesterday, man? The first one that I do want to bring up before we get to the big one that
Don't have to say anybody's names, don't have
the
to
big
be
one that we
specific.
know that we're talking about. I wanted to talk about the couple that came up to us, the mother and daughter couple.
Okay. Okay.
Couple. No, that's a wrong word, but
Right,
you guys
right,
get what I'm
right,
saying.
right.
The mother and daughter that
Which
came
one?
up to us.
At the final, I think is what
The
he
one
said.
when we talked to the other guy?
Yes. Yeah. Same
about
location.
The Native American.
Yes. Okay. So this woman comes up to us, very nice lady with a super sweet daughter. Like, this is not an attack on their character in any way, because they were very nice people with us.
She made it a point to say, I'm teaching her about politics, teaching her to be about history.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah,
I'd
and
say-
the ideal there was great.
Right.
The execution was poor.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were talking, and I think you had said something like, "Oh, we would love to have you on the podcast," and I noticed that Julius was being oddly quiet while she was talking to us.
I should have
And
noticed when she was trying to cite sources about what she was talking about. She's like, "Well, look it up on Facebook."
Yeah, and Julius was
not
like,
how
"No."
Facebook works.
Yeah, Cody was like, "Yeah, so we would love to have you on the podcast," and I just see Julius out of the corner of my eye going, just shaking his head, just very softly, just shaking his head, and I mean, what this woman was saying is that she was voting for Donald Trump because Donald Trump had done more for the Native American community than any other president in history.
Other president in history.
She said that he was the first president to talk to them, and something. It was just very strange, the things that she was saying.
She claimed that Donald Trump was the first sitting president that actively decided against, I don't know whose orders or wills or desire, to go and talk to a
Native American
reservation, thank you, and allow them or give them the legal ability to vote for the first time ever in an American election for a president. Well, we all thought that was very interesting. We're very intrigued by this.
I was super surprised at that, and I was like, "Hey, you know
That
what?
sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Well,
No,
we were the first
we're
ones to
getting
go
there.
and try to find.
yeah, I
this
literally
information from
right
a
there
credible
at the
source.
conversation. I was like, "Well, let's start talking." You know, nothing, zero,
we
nada.
we went through like 10 pages of Google just looking
Nothing.
for this information.
just
and
typing it.
nothing.
I was just like, "It's got to be
so-
somewhere."
And so it was saddening to me in retrospect after the conversation, because during the conversation it was like, okay, great, I
Right.
appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
But afterwards I was like, your heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
But you're not going about it the right way.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
if
citing
she is
things
listening,
that
she should go back and listen to our last episode about how to find credible sources.
Exactly. And she was telling us to go on look on Facebook.
She started with Facebook, and then she went on to say, Google it.
Yeah.
Which she
And-
obviously had not done.
Exactly.
Because
did
if she
it.
had done that, then she would have found information backing up her
no
information.
That's the problem.
Right, or found no
Yeah,
information.
people think that just because they can find something on Facebook,
Yeah.
that it's true,
Yeah.
which it's not. Facebook is not a news website.
Nope.
It is not. It is an opinion website.
The world's largest media conglomerate.
Conglomerate.
But I don't even know how much they're worth right now. But
Too much.
Too much money.
I mean, Zuckerberg
Media-
is one of the only
Big
three
Zuck.
people to be over $100 billion in net worth. So.
and there's not one dedicated source for news on this media conglomerate. Zero, not one.
Yeah,
like
they've done a good job of trying to fact check things.
Yeah, I feel like they're
because-
putting up the facade that they're
Yeah,
trying.
yeah.
I mean, that's just my personal opinion. It's
I
not
agree.
based in any type of fact or anything like that. So
And
just
my
go ahead and
gut
put that in-
feeling.
Yeah, it's just
I've
my
seen
gut
them-
feeling.
I've seen them fact check both sides, but we know the kind of person that shares
Yeah.
this. The
Exactly. Well,
fake.
okay, so there was that, and again, very lovely lady. If you are listening, which I hope that you are, you as a person, but your fact checking,
Yeah.
not too good.
Yeah, and this is we want to help people.
Yeah, and
be
that's
able to
what we're
find
here
this.
for.
right.
I mean, this is nothing of what we're saying today is an attack on anyone's personal character.
No.
Okay. It is, however, an alarm clock on where you're getting your sources and where you're getting your information.
Personal morals. And
It's
It really, personal morals brings up a very good point, Julius, because at this point in our history and the way that information has become an embedded part of our lives, that in a way it's never been before, it is now a moral issue that we do not spread misinformation or disinformation.
Yeah.
Misinformation is when you just make a mistake. Disinformation is when you purposefully spread things that are not true. And those two things are literally going to take down our entire union because they've separated and divided us so much by the use of just contextualizing information in different ways, telling the same story but using inflammatory language in one of them, and in the other one maybe using more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sucking up to people. There's a word, but it's not coming to me.
There's lots of words for that.
fanning their ego.
Well, kind of, but I just mean like you get the sympathizing side and you get the inflammatory side of every story, and it's just
There's too
everything
much
is
opinion in
meant
our
to
news.
divide us. There's too much opinion, and it's now become a moral issue. Stop spreading things that are not true. Fact check things, and if you see somebody who spreads something that is untrue, then you need to go find wherever the article is that proves that untrue thing to be in whatever truth it lives in. Go find the article that shows what the truth is.
Call them out
and
with facts.
call them out, but also post it 5 times And if you post 5 times the correct information, to every time you see one piece of misinformation, you will flood that misinformation out.
Wow.
And that's the only way we can do it, guys.
I think, me personally, like, and I was just, we were talking about this, and I'm starting to just really feel things about it. I think that right now we went from like the country has gone through different ages, right? We've got our revolution, we've got the Civil War, the information age, you know, in the 90s where we got the internet came to us, you know, computers exploded, not actually, but it exploded in popularity is what I'm saying.
Y2K.
Yeah. I feel like right now the country is almost regressing into an age of disinformation because you don't know what would be true or what is false without having to spend all this time
Got a lot of energy
and energy into trying to find that out, which I mean is the point of what we're doing, but at the same time it shouldn't be this hard to get the truth.
That's exactly okay. So kind of circling back around to the original.
What I wanted to say is that I think that this all can get rooted back to a certain point, and it would be, I think, in the 80s with the creation of cable news.
Yeah.
A 24/7, and this is not supposed to be an attack on CNN, but it kind of is because they were the first one.
Any major media.
A 24/7 news network is going to run out of news.
Yeah.
There's not 24 hours of news in a day that you can right now, we're watching the exact same report a million times because there's nothing has happened.
Trying to figure out.
Nothing has happened in the last hour or so.
Yeah.
And they're just filling time. But what do they have to fill that time with? Conjecture, opinion.
Yeah.
They don't have any more facts to give us.
But see, what they could be doing instead is educating in between all of this time.
No, they could, but then it wouldn't be a news network or news. Having a show dedicated to that, but there's not 24 hours, 7 days a week of news.
I would love to sit and learn about the Electoral College and the first.
Yeah, I would love if like the History Channel was actual history and
while
not,
I'm watching news.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
I would love
sure.
if the History Channel was actual history and not Pawn Stars or Storage Wars.
Yeah,
you know,
History
I love Pawn
Channel. is
Stars.
screwed.
the
I
Learning
mean,
Channel isn't My 600-Pound Life or Big People or Little People, Small World or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
It's like we've gotten into a world where entertainment is so highly sought after and so highly valued that our news has fallen off the wayside because we need to be entertained.
Oh yeah,
We need to hold people's attention.
news stations have looked
to be
a
able to
lot
make more
like
money, to be able to do
ESPN.
all
The thing
things.
about it is they play things that we, the people, ask or want or
We
wanna
are
see.
watching it. I mean, that
it's-
is our fault. We are watching it. But they put it out there. If they're trying to pass this as news, they have a responsibility to themselves and to their profession to make sure that it is news and not opinion.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, grassroots movements like Sparking the Valley and other podcasts.
No, exactly.
That's why we exist.
Because
and-
we're offering some news. Most of what we're giving is opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, but we can at least say that we have the. I'm missing a word here. We have the foresight to be able to brand ourselves that way. We know that this is an opinion-based podcast rooted in fact. We do have facts that we spread, but it's nothing that you couldn't actually go and Google.
So
Okay.
from the days of the Electoral College, quote unquote, working, I don't know if it ever worked. Did it work at some point?
It did in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, because the country was smaller. I mean, like, so many states have been added. So many people have moved around. Like, representation is so, like, spread out. And you can see.
Information.
Yeah, information
is
is,
ready.
at this point, it's not hard to come by because we have the internet. We're
Right.
all interconnected.
Right.
You know?
So
but-
how? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to continue with our story from the polling station that we were at. You had asked me if we had any stories, and we kind of started with the mother and daughter situation, but there is one that was a little bit more egregious, is a good word. That was kind of just out there. I think you and me both kind of experienced things there.
Is this the gentleman I brought
Yes,
up earlier?
this is the gentleman
Yes.
that we were talking about earlier. So again, I didn't even get this guy's name. I just know he was at the polling station that we were at. Again, we'll not name the polling station because we don't want to identify him in any way.
And it started out as him coming up to us and saying, I'm glad you guys are out here. I like what you're doing.
And he came up to us and he seemed like a great guy, you know? I mean, as far as hello is concerned. But at one point we were talking, and I mean, I remember I zoned out of the conversation for about maybe 10 seconds.
And then you come back, you're like,
it came back to me when he literally looked you straight in your eye, Julius.
Yeah.
And he said, Native Americans have had a harder time
than
the blacks.
Then the quote blacks.
Yeah.
This is an actual
There's
quote.
an actual quote.
Yeah,
Native
word for
Americans have
word.
had a harder time
Word
in this
for
country
word.
than the blacks.
The blacks.
And I'm not here to say that Native Americans have not had a hard time in this country, because God knows that they
You don't
have.
compare those kinds
You
of things.
don't
Yeah.
compare people's pain. You don't say that the Holocaust was worse than the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
They were both bad.
They were both really bad.
They were both bad.
Yeah.
Now,
And what point are you trying to make even saying that? Like,
Right.
exactly. He basically at that point he's trying to say you should not feel bad about being black in America because Native Americans had it worse. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have, is that they like to. It's a pissing contest on who suffered the most. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to take it that way, and it's not the case. People have suffered, and then goes on this rant talking about the Confederate statues never need to be taken down and all this, and we're letting him know like what those statues represent.
we let him speak
Exactly.
his opinion, and then Julius gave a great opinion onto we should take these statues and put them
them in a
into a
museum.
museum for people like him to go appreciate it, because we don't.
It's not appreciate in the way to admire. It's appreciate that it happened.
Yeah.
And we have moved on from that as a country, and we are now
And
better
he's
for
the
it.
one that said it. He's the one that came up with us. He said we need to remember this history so we don't repeat it.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
he
"You're
said that there were
absolutely
mistakes
correct."
made in the
Yeah,
past.
but
Yeah.
I don't believe that there should be a statue of the Grandmaster of the KKK
Right.
in the middle of
In
a
the
majority
middle of-
minority
yeah,
or in the middle of a
absolutely.
minority
Absolutely.
neighborhood.
And like,
You know?
do we think he even believes
And
our opinion on this? I mean,
the thing that I talked about with him, or at least told him, because there was no talking about it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I informed him of is that a lot of these statues that were put up of these Confederate soldiers, generals, and stuff like that were put up during the Jim Crow era to be able to suppress black people's vote, or suppress the African American vote. Yeah. And it was put up as a sign of you better vote for the right person, or don't go vote, period.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand why, because it's been so long, and people have not, this part of it has not been publicized. It's just, we have some Confederate statues, don't take them down. Because I understand people have their heritage in the 5-6 years of the Confederacy, or whatever they want to be proud of.
Yeah.
And I get it, I don't, but if you want to be proud of it, cool, whatever.
It's the
But
way that
it's-
we were taught growing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a white guy from Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I couldn't
know.
tell. I don't see color.
But like we're
Nice.
we're taught in school and family all kinds of things that don't really go with the truth.
No, my mom was taught that Robert E. Lee was like this great general who did all these other wonderful things, that even though he fought for the Confederacy or whatever, that wasn't the only thing he ever did. And like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter about what else he did. He fought for the Confederacy to keep slavery alive,
Exactly.
but she was taught in a different way. And so
There
she
are
had a hard
individual
time.
Soldiers that you fight for where you're told to fight for.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I'm talking about Robert E. Lee, though. I'm talking about him as a general.
I mean, like, people here, the people that still fly the Confederate flag, which is wrong. I totally, I'm not for it. I'm just trying to give their perspective, is that their family has taught them this way, and they feel it. Like I said, it was only a few years. Like, that's not your culture.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's,
Thank you.
There's been so much more time gone over, like
Yeah.
that, and then this one thing that represents so much hate to a lot of people.
Why would you choose that to be your culture? Like, that's what I don't understand.
It's like they don't like being told what to do.
And
Is one thing.
One thing that I do want to go ahead and say, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. Mississippi voted to change their state flag as well.
Is that the one that had the Confederate flag?
It had the Confederate battle flag in like the corner of it, and it's finally the last flag with the Confederate emblem on it to be voted out.
Wow.
They have now since voted in a new flag. It's gone.
Congratulations.
So
and legalized medical marijuana. So Mississippi is just getting it.
We've got Oregon
I remember
decriminalizing
the
drug
first time
possession.
I went to Mississippi. We stopped at a like one of those little like a Golden Corral. Walked through the doors. Oh, it was an all black choir, by the way, from Alabama, Lawson State Community College. We walked through the doors of Golden Corral. The first thing we see is like a mural to like 3 Confederate, I don't know, generals or something.
Oh, wow.
And on both sides of the doors, Golden Corral in Mississippi, Confederate flags.
Damn.
You walk through that mug, and the first thing you see is 2 Confederate flags left and right at the door.
And you turn around and you walk right back out.
It was the middle of the night, and we were headed back. We were starving. We're like,
Sure.
But they treated us like normal people.
Yeah.
Treated us like, they were like, hey, come on.
You know
in.
why?
Yeah.
Because you were paying.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted. That's all they want.
A point that I want to make is that just because you fly the Confederate flag does not mean that that's what that represents to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent hate to a lot of people that support the flag.
The problem is that the symbol itself
I know,
represents what it represents. And like, I get it. You know, like, I mean, I know people that had Confederate flags in their room. Great people, you know?
Yeah.
I know black people that are they have the Confederate flag tattooed on them.
Yeah.
Which is
it's
insane
intense.
to me.
Yeah.
But okay, back to this story. We'll finish getting to it eventually. But there's just so much that's going on right now. So much
there was so much that happened in this one conversation.
So much that happened in
too.
this one conversation that
One thing I
branched
wanted to
off.
bring up in it is like I didn't want to think that this guy was full of hate. I wanted to think that he was full of misinformation. But then the thing he said to you, JP, it was egregious. It made me uncomfortable.
If you guys have followed me on social media, my name on social media, my name is Jean-Pierre Vasquez. You follow me on social media, throw your hate tweets at me or whatever, I don't care. But I posted something yesterday. It got some attention. You know, a lot of friends commented on there and stuff. But this is basically what happened. So we're standing at this polling station. I am dressed like a Confederate, or not Confederate. I'm like a Revolutionary Patriot or another. Me and Cody both, we got our powdered wigs on. I've got a hat. We've got the whole getup, you know? We're just out there to try and get people excited about voting. This guy comes up to us. He's talking and everything, and we already know kind of where this conversation is going, but then this was said to me. This guy looked me square in the eye and said, people from Central and South America should have never been allowed to come into this country. It was one of the biggest mistakes that we could have ever made because those people took our jobs from hardworking Americans.
And I said,
now,
sir, those jobs are still there. You
now,
can go get
let's
one right now
say,
if you want.
let's say, stereotypically, what he's talking about is our farming and agriculture jobs around the border of the United States. Okay,
which have lost a lot of labor,
which most white people do not want to do.
Yeah,
because and you know why?
It's a horrible
because
job.
The illegal immigrants that come from Central and South America, granted, illegal immigrants, and I understand that is not good, but they come here to try and make a little bit, and I will say a little bit of money. These people are working for basically what you could equate to slave wages.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Picking vegetables, fruit. And all they
with
do,
no protection.
with absolutely no protection, you know, these people literally, if their like employer wants to come and just beat them up, they can't go talk to the police.
Yeah,
for fear of being extradited, and then they lose being able to feed their family back in their home country.
There's no HR there.
There's no HR, exactly.
But what he was saying was not necessarily. He said people should not have been allowed to come here.
Yeah, people should not have
legally come here.
Yeah, those people should not have been allowed to come here. And I looked at him, I was like, and I had been quiet through this whole time because I could feel the anger bubbling up because I knew that this guy was just speaking from a place of hate at this point.
Yeah.
Before it was misinformation, like Cody said. At this point, it was a place of hate.
Yeah.
I had kept
The blacks did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I really, going back to a
That would've
couple
been my
episodes
breaking
ago,
point, too.
I felt my white privilege talking to this guy.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have anything to say about the white folk. Like he was, so when I was in there with JP and with Julius, I felt, I don't know exactly how I felt, but I felt something that I had not felt very often.
Very interesting.
This guy was just the way he looked at me when I told him. I was like, "Excuse me, sir," I cut in as soon as he said that. I was like,
Yeah.
"Excuse me, sir. With all due respect, my family is from Central and South America, which is true. My mother was from Central America, and my dad is from South America. I was born here in the States. I am a legal citizen. I was born here. I was born in New Jersey. I'll show you my long form certificate if you want, dude. But it's like I feel more American than this man could ever be.
Yeah.
My family struggled to come here. I could tell you my dad's story of how he got to the United States, how he got across the entire country from Los Angeles to New York, how he met my mom, how they decided that New Jersey wasn't as good a place to raise a child as it could be, moved down here, and I've basically been raised in Tennessee my entire life.
Wow.
Northern, Central, and South America. I'm more American than this guy could ever possibly hope to be. And I'm out there dressed like a revolutionary patriot, trying to just get people to vote. And this guy looks at me in my face and says that I should never have been allowed to be here.
The audacity.
I'm sorry, like, I don't like to curse on this show, but how fucking dare you, dude? How fucking dare you? To look me in my eye and say that stuff?
Yeah.
Like,
That's not American. It's not American.
It's not American.
Yeah.
It's not patriotic. And I know that our show is not about broadcasting hate, because I don't hate you. I pity you, sir. I really do. The way that you can act toward other people that way. And I wish that I would have been able to vocalize that at the time. But
it's exhausting to walk around with that much hate in you, and it's exhausting to have to be the person on the other side of it as well.
The fact that you and me, Julius, were able to still continue this conversation with this guy and not start screaming, not cursing. We were able to have a calm and collected conversation. By the time that we walked away, we were finished. As soon as we were done with this conversation, we were going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
But we started packing up and everything, and that guy walks off and does whatever he's supposed to be doing. I can't remember. I wish I'd have gotten her name. She was a lovely lady. She comes up to us and says, "Thank you so much for having that conversation with him. I know that it wasn't easy, and it didn't look it at all. But thank you for having that conversation."
Yeah.
That, to me, made me proud to be an American. That is the type of conversation that we need to be having in this country. I do not agree with that guy. It could have been easy for me to rear back and punch him in the face. It would have been extremely easy.
Yeah.
But that's not what we do, because we are American. I am just as much American as this guy is, regardless of what I said earlier.
Yeah.
I am just as much American as he is. We are both registered voters. Hopefully, I don't know what this guy does, but we both have rights, and we both have our right to our own opinion.
Yeah.
We have to have that conversation. We have to be able to be civil, because civility is what this country needs right now. We're looking at election coverage right now, and we've got angry people on both sides, confused, scared people on both sides. But we have to be able to dial back our emotions, dial back that hatred, dial back all of the negativity that we've got right now, and see that there are Americans on both sides. There are the red side, the blue side, the side that's in the middle, all sides. That's where all sides matter, because we're all American and we all matter.
So when somebody, next time somebody talks to you and you're having a conversation, they say, "Oh, just go vote." Continue that dialogue. Continue to want that desire to really understand where that person is coming from when they say go vote. It's more than just go vote. Go have the conversation.
I think this is this would be a good time to share some of our other interviews.
Absolutely.
That we've had. A lot of them went way better than that one.
A lot of them were recorded.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't record that.
But JP, I think your testimony to that conversation is more powerful than actually listening to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely a powerful moment. I'm not gonna lie. When we were driving away, I got a little teary-eyed, because I mean, it was that lady walking up to us and telling us thank you.
Yeah.
That warmed my heart, because I knew. I mean, like, and this is a little bit of behind the scenes. I mean, I've gone, and we've all had a 2020. I lost my mom back in May, and it's been tough, and I know that conversation is the one that she would have had to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we were able to have it. I'm glad that someone was able to witness it and call it out and say thank you.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like I made my family proud that day.
There were a lot of people who weren't directly in the conversation or even watching, but it was impossible to not hear it. It was impossible to not be in that moment. And so, you know, none of us were doing it for the appreciation of anybody out there. We were doing it because we know it's our mission. But when, as JP is saying, when the person came up to say thank you, you know, it almost was an acknowledgement in the hearts of a lot of people that were out there, not just her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they heard the struggle through the conversation, and she was saying thank you was the fact that we stayed.
Exactly.
And we didn't say, let's pull you to the side and have this conversation. No.
We had it in the middle of everybody.
A civil war begins when people fail to be civil.
We would have a failure to communicate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we have to be able to find that middle ground. And even if we don't have it, because I don't think that I share any middle ground with this gentleman. Mm-hmm. But the conversation that I was having wasn't just directed to him. It was directed to everyone that felt like him.
And everybody that was listening.
And everyone that was listening around them. And her coming up to us made it worth it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that while I may not have changed her mind on anything, she realized that there were people that were willing to have these difficult conversations. Mm-hmm. And that is what Spark in the Valley is about.
I'd say the common ground was with him was our ability to actually civil. But he was civil. Like, he said some egregious things. He did not walk away. He didn't raise his voice. We had this conversation.
Yeah. And it was awesome.
And it was worth having.
So,
I think we should definitely, let's listen to some of these interviews.
Check that out.
Yeah.
This is Cody with Spark in the Valley. I've got Jan here, who is an important member of our community. She's involved in the Arts Center, and I'll let her tell a little more about her. But the question I have today is, what issue or issues are most important to you this election, and why?
Cody, there are so many issues in this election that are heartfelt, so important. Primarily, I think the preservation of our democracy, and the way our government has functioned for so long. I'm 67 years old. I do admit I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I'm very proud of that. But to have the structures of government restored, I'm concerned about our Social Security system. I'm concerned about national health care, or health care being provided to all people. So many issues. And the restoration of the dignity and calm and peace in our nation. That's what I hope for primarily.
Thank you so much. Everyone's opinion and perspective is valid, and we appreciate that so much.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Daniel, and I have a couple of quick questions, Daniel. First, what issues are most important to you in this election season, and why?
I think what I'm most concerned about is our relationship with China, in regards to China and kind of what's going on there with them. I guess the human rights violations, it's pretty bad, and then also them kind of seeming like they're, I guess, trying to get into our politics. It seems like more and more they're trying to get kind of more involved in our politics through our media and a lot of our businesses that they own. I guess like corporations and stuff like that, but. I guess that's probably my biggest concern right now is China.
Okay, well, I appreciate that answer. Thank you. Now, a follow-up to that is, with you and your belief in the relationship that we need to upkeep with China, how do you feel about the current state of our union?
Honestly, it feels a little divided. State of our union, I guess. It seems like there's definitely two ideologies, and they've both been kind of, now they could kind of intermingle. It seemed like, but it's almost as if they've been, whether intentionally or not, or they've just grown that way. They've become more and more separated. Exactly, yeah. So I don't know. We're all Americans. I think at the end of the day, nobody wants to, or I say nobody. I think the majority of Americans don't want to fight each other and things like that, and we want peace and love and all that stuff. So I think honestly we'll get through it. I just think it's just one of those times, It's a very important moment in history, I guess. So that's why we feel this way, But I guess that's all I had to say.
Yeah, it definitely harkens back to a conversation that we had on last week's episode of our podcast, where we had talked about the growing divide between the two peaks of the parties. You've got the far right, the far left, and there's really very little middle ground. So I do appreciate your answer. Thank you so much for your time, Daniel, and I appreciate you coming out and giving everyone your vote.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
This is Cody with Spark in the Valley, here with first-time voter Max. Max, what was it like to vote for the first time?
It was actually really exciting, pretty incredible. I've always wanted to vote. As a kid, we would all go out as a family. We'd go to the courthouse. My parents would vote. My brother would vote. And it was always something that I wanted to do. And finally getting the first chance was really incredible. To be able to exercise that right to vote, it's really important, and it just makes me really excited to be able to get the chance to do that.
When we had our city council, did you look up any of those candidates, or was this mostly a presidential candidate vote for you?
No, I wanted to go the full way. I wanted to vote on everything because, it's not just about, who's going to be president. It's important, yes, and that I feel like was, your main big thing that everybody sees. But the local elections, they're just as important.
Yeah.
And I think that really when you go into this, and from my perspective, I wanted to use all of the opportunities I had to go for, all of them at once, because it's important.
Yeah, and sometimes our local elections, we have more power because we live in a red state. So it's scary, our electoral college is probably going to go towards red. And so with your local elections, it feels like, oh, okay, this is my power.
Yeah.
This is where I have my power.
So local elections is really where your vote is going to be heard the most.
Yes.
And it's where, these people are representing you as from where we are.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for voting today, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. No problem.
All right, this is Cody with Spark in the Valley. I'm here with Steve, who is a first-time Tennessee voter.
Yes, sir.
Well, Steve, in this election, what were some issues that are important to you?
Well, with the whole, with the Democrats, they're so, on the left now. Their running is, they want to open borders and do all this other stuff. And, it's kind of, I just don't understand. Trump's done so much for this country that they won't let you know about. They don't put it on the media. The media is completely against him. You know what I mean? Literally almost every mainstream media, they never say nothing good about him. And it's literally, if you think about it, the people that are after him are the people that he's been going after. He said he's going to drain the swamp, and that's what he started doing. And then, if you notice, they came after him hard. You know what I mean? And it's just they want to pack the Supreme Court. They will not deny that. They won't say they're not going to do it, but that's what they're talking about doing. They're trying to change America, period, from what America is, and I don't want it. I want to be America, what it is, and down to our morals and what we believe in as a country, not with all these people from other countries are coming over here trying to change things that we're not. You know what I mean? And honestly, they're trying to go socialist, which you can look at any socialist country out there, and it never works. You know what I mean? Like, the money's going to run out sooner or later, period. And that's why I'm voting. And that's what's important to me is, you know, like, I want America to be America, period.
Man. Yeah. We appreciate every perspective, so I appreciate you giving us your time.
That's what I said. Me and you, you know, we've talked a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but like I said, we've never gotten a big argument or like that. We get on with each other.
We spark a conversation every time we talk, which is the point.
Yep.
Hey everybody, it's JP again. Here covering election night 2020. It's been a very eventful day so far. We're wrapping it up with some election coverage. We're at TWU asking a few questions. I've got Miranda here with me. Miranda, first question that I've got for you. With this current election this year, what are some issues that were really important to you that you wanted to make sure were addressed?
I think my biggest issues were definitely LGBTQ issues. I mean, we had some significant, incredible Supreme Court cases that were ruled on this past summer, but with the passing of RBG and, of course, the introduction of the new justice, I was very concerned of LGBTQ rights. Actually, tomorrow, the Supreme Court is going to hear a case about LGBTQ adoption for a Catholic service adoption agency, and I'm really nervous about that. But along with LGBTQ issues, I think the biggest thing for me is healthcare. As someone who has a few chronic illnesses, I was very nervous as to what the healthcare system was going to look like and if the Obamacare was going to be repealed. But I'm hopeful that if things go right tonight, then maybe my rights won't be taken away tonight, but at least for all Americans especially, that there's access to health care and access to affordable health care, most importantly.
It's definitely important. For a long time, I mean, people around here, insurance isn't guaranteed for you. You know, some people are stuck paying these exorbitant out-of-pocket costs, and so yeah, I can totally understand healthcare being an important issue. Now, going off of that, we've had a lot of stuff going on in the country in the past few years, a lot of just tumultuous stuff, to put it lightly. How do you personally feel about the state of our union?
I don't think the state of our union has ever experienced anything other than division. I think that we have just adapted to it and it's changed its form and changed different masks. I think it's incredible that a lot of the systematic racism and systematic issues within our criminal justice system, our healthcare system, and especially within our government are coming to light, and that people are, retaking their power and coming to the streets again. As someone who was able to study what happened in Ferguson as well as the aftermath of that, it's incredible to see that people everywhere, and it's not just in centralized locations, are coming out and, marching for actual change. Like, it's not just, these systems need, just a little bit of different reform or we need some more trainings. No, it's let's wipe it, let's start again, and let's work together. And I think it's been very promising. As well as the new generation coming in, seeing their spunk has been just amazing to witness, and honestly a little scary, but I definitely respect it, and I'm excited to see young people get involved in politics and young people are informed about climate change and willing to make a difference and put those issues at use and at the forefront of everything, because even if we have great election results tonight, if we don't do anything for our environment starting tomorrow, then no one has really a prayer of any kind of democracy or a world for the next generation.
Very, very good answer. I love that answer. Now, moving on to what we've got going on tonight. So obviously tonight, election night. It's a big hot button topic. I mean, it's everywhere on social media. Google is just going crazy right now. We've seen a lot of really surprising things happening so far. Granted, the night is far from over, but what is one of the biggest surprises that you've seen so far?
Oh man, Texas has just been insane to I knew that it was always a purple and battleground state more than it was given credit for, but seeing the turnout before even election day has just been insane to witness, and seeing it not only go blue is, I think, really a testament to the work they've been doing down in Texas, as well as the testament for new voters, for voters who have always thought that, well, Texas is always red, so there's no chance or no reason for me to vote. And now they're saying, I'm going to go out and vote and see what happens. And we're seeing that participation really now go. As well as in South Carolina, Jamie Harrison has ran an incredible campaign. And it has been awesome to watch it and see him really take down Lindsey Graham, not only as an incumbent, but with grassroots campaign, not taking any big corporate money, but going door to door, going with different people who have lived in South Carolina their whole lives, see a new vision for South Carolina.
South Carolina and Texas so far have surprised me. I mean, as of us starting this, I think the last I had seen was about 47% of turnout in Texas had resulted in about a 50% projected victory for Joe Biden, which, I mean, in my lifetime, I mean, that's never been a thing. I think we saw earlier today, we had done some research, and the last time that Texas ever voted for a Democratic nominee for president was when they elected Jimmy Carter in 1976. So it's been, I mean, basically since the mid-'80s that Texas has not elected anyone Democrat. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know any Trekkies out there, but Star Trek The Next Generation's last episode was the last time that Texas was ever, like, even considering something like that. No, I definitely think we should bring back Star Trek, but I really appreciate you coming on to the show tonight. I know that you're a new, how do we say, not immigrant, but a new resident of Athens. We appreciate you coming on to the show. I really appreciate your insight. For Spark in the Valley After Dark, this is JP.
I got Blake here. Me and Blake did a musical last year together, Addams Family musical. So much fun. Yeah, here in Athens we have a wonderful arts community. But we're here at the college, and I just got a couple questions with you. First, what was your key issues this year, issues in this election, and why?
So a lot of the issues that I partake or have a lot of focus for tend to be human rights issues, specifically with LGBTQ plus rights to continue to get married and to also have the ability to not be discriminated when it comes to housing or jobs. And then I think Black Lives Matter. I think that there is a serious epidemic, and that is violence and crimes against people of color and people of minorities, especially of race. And I think that's a especially big issue, especially in the past couple of months. And I think that's something that we need to approach and try to reform how we approach these issues.
Okay, and next, what do you feel is how is the state of our union?
Quite frankly, I think it's a mess. There's a lot of divisiveness between people, and I think it's a hard year to try to come together, especially on such an important night like election night like tonight, because politics have become so polarizing between people, and it's hard to get along with people who refuse to listen to each other, and that honestly goes for both sides, even though I tend to lean more left. But everything is so polarized that it's hard to agree with other people, and it's hard to be able to open your mind and listen very well to people with different arguments or different facts. So I think that's like a big issue. So I really think right now it's a mess, and so we all need to put in work equally to come together to overcome all these hurdles together as a nation instead of separating apart.
I 100% agree with you. Our purpose with this podcast is to be able to talk to everyone and have a conversation, because that's the only way that we're going to come together as a country and make it better.
Yeah.
By being able to talk with one another, regardless of what your views are. You can talk to someone, and you can even be offended by their opinion, but you can still have that conversation with them. And as long as you both are listening to each other, we can really come together, because we have so much more in common than people give Americans credit for. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night.
You too.
Hi, this is Cody with Spark in the Valley, here with Jordan Curtis, who is currently running for Athens City Council. He's been gracious enough to give us some of his time to talk about some issues. And so Jordan, what sparked your interest into running for City Council?
Yeah. Hey, Cody, thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on today. Appreciate all you're doing today to just kind of make this a fun day about getting people out to vote. So this is my second time running for City Council. I ran 4 years ago. There were 5 candidates, and I finished dead last. And that was a great experience, getting out there the first time, running, kind of setting an expectation. But when I ran 4 years ago, in one of the forums we had, I kind of was asked if I didn't win what I would do. And I said, this is just another opportunity for service. Whether I win or lose, I want to serve the community in any way I can. And I said, I'm going to commit to serving and plug in whatever way my talents are helpful. And I did that, and I cast a wider net, got involved in a lot of different organizations in the community, and then decided to run again this time. But I think, it's all about looking to the future. My daughter is 14, and the reason that I'm running really is because I want Athens to be a place that she's comfortable to live in a nice home, have a good job, have good health care, all those sort of things. So that was really my primary motivation. Another thing too is we kind of had a little bit of a to me it was kind of a tipping point last year with passing a sales tax referendum for a school building project, and that vote passed. And it was very exciting because that kind of showed that the public was ready to move forward with that kind of investment in education. And so a lot of why I'm running is to kind of see that dream all the way to reality. We're going to be building a new school building. Groundbreaking is in December. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to serve on the city council and kind of shepherd and see what that's going to do for our community as a whole. I think we're going to start attracting a lot more young families and retaining them once we get that school built. But we have a lot going on in this area. And a final comment I'll make, I want to demonstrate and show people that we're a town ready to be led by youthful, thoughtful people. We just have so much momentum right now, and I'm really excited about the tangible things that could be done in a 4-year term.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks, Cody.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the reasons we started to do this podcast, because we feel like this area has a lot of potential to do a lot of great things, and in the political climate right now, the younger crowd is really interested and motivated. Yes. And I think if we can all work together, I think we can be great. I think JP's got a couple questions for you.
Great.
So.
Hey everyone, it's JP again. I just wanted to ask you, Jordan, for somebody that isn't as well informed in some of the aspects, like some of the people that may be out voting, could you just briefly explain to us what exactly the city council is responsible for?
That's a great question. Really, I like to tell people a city is really a service provider. It's essentially a corporation that provides a service that really no one else could for the cost. So you think about the county is really dealing with the state government. So when you're dealing with the county offices, you're dealing really directly with the state. The city, many years ago, people in Athens said, we want to provide a little bit higher level of service than the base that's provided by the county. We want garbage pickup, a different school system, different parks, those sort of things. So the city council is the board of directors for that corporation, if you will. So that's kind of a bare bones, setting the budget, making sure, I like to tell people, if your garbage doesn't get picked up a few times, you're going to notice. But if it gets picked up every week, you're probably not going to notice. So it's making sure that those day in, day out things that the city does, that the city has the resources to provide the services that the citizens expect. But I think over and above that, I think the city council needs to be setting the vision that's executed by the city staff day to day. So where are we going? Where do we need to be going? I think about housing. We need more housing for younger folks in Athens. We need to think about how do we get investment from a developer into a multifamily, a new nice market rate housing apartment complex, those kind of things. So, I would submit that the city council needs to make sure all those day in, day out things are done, but we need to be looking toward what kind of city do we need to be building for the next 30, 40 years, kind of set that vision and long-term planning, and then give the city staff the latitude to go out and get it done and execute the play.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, one last question that I've got. Me personally, I'm about to be 27 years old. As long as I've lived in Athens, which has basically been almost all my life, there's really never been anything for a younger crowd to do. We always having to go to like a larger city like Cleveland, Knoxville, Chattanooga, just to be able to vent, get some energy out. Sure. What ideas would you have to be able to bring to the table to make Athens a more attractive city for youthful people?
This doesn't fully answer your question, but I think one thing we've got to do, and again, it's not all about dining and shopping, but I think that it is a lot about dining and shopping. The city about 3 years ago entered into a contract with a firm called Retail Strategies, which really just serves as a conduit to kind of connect the dots between cities that they work with and different retail establishments, restaurants, so on and so forth. It really gives you access to kind of market your city to people that are looking for expansion. So I think we have seen some results from that work, but I think we've got to keep working day in and day out to market ourselves to different restaurants and stores and things that are looking to expand and maybe look at our area. I think that's one thing that kind of captures a younger crowd if there's more places to do that. It's definitely always going to be of concern in a small town, and I agree with you, but I would sort of counter that with you somewhat have to really get out and find because there really are a lot of things to do around town. You may just not think about them. Well, let's think about Eureka Trail. We got the Eureka Trail. We've got the Living Heritage Museum. We've got Mayfield Dairy. Got the Art Center. We've got a lot of different things in town to get involved with that we sometimes may not think about. But certainly it's always going to be something we're going to have to work toward in a smaller community, finding more things for young folks. But again, I agree with you, but I think maybe we just have to keep reminding ourselves and talking about of all the things that we do have and can be proud of around town.
That's a perfect answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for that, Jordan. Sure. For Spark in the Valley, this is JP and Cody Hensley, and we will talk to you here soon.
All right. Well, we're back. Those are some very interesting conversations. We really want to say thank you to Mr. Jordan Curtis for taking his time and talking with us. We also spoke with a number of other Athenians in the friendly city.
I also want to congratulate Frances on her win.
Yes.
Her voice was going out when we talked to her, so she didn't want to have a long conversation, but I think we'll get her on the show soon.
Hopefully.
Jordan had said that he'd love to get both of them.
Yeah.
She had said that she had heard of us, so
yeah, that was a nice.
We definitely appreciate all of our followers.
Yeah.
Sharing all of our different content that we've been posting.
Yes, thank
social media.
You.
Once again, I do want to remind our listeners, our what are we calling them? Valley dwellers?
Sparklers.
Sparklers. I love sparklers.
Valley boys and girls.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate the turnout that we've had on social media.
Yes.
But if you are listening to us and have not yet followed us on social media,
please,
you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Spark in the Valley.
Please.
Just like that, Spark in the Valley.
We're going to get that Twitter going.
We'll get that Twitter going eventually.
What should we do on Twitter? Every episode, I'm going to ask.
I think we should just link it up with one of the other ones so we don't have to do it.
Actually do it, yeah. Just like post directly to it. What should we do on our Twitter, Sparklers?
But follow us on all social media. Again, we do want to remind you, wherever you are listening to us, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts.
You think Trump will be looking for a job soon? We can get him to tweet for us.
Yeah, he could be one. We could get Donald Trump as a correspondent on the podcast.
He's good at it.
No, thank you.
Well,
I'd rather not be sexually assaulted.
You don't want to be grabbed by...
Yeah. No, thank you.
So anyway, so that's that. Thank you again to our sparklers, our valley people, valley dwellers, whatever.
Whatever you want to call yourselves,
we're gonna
we
get
appreciate
there.
I'm going to call you a sparkler.
I think we're gonna do sparklers.
We
Put
heard
it to a vote.
sparklers, sparkies, valley dwellers.
We'll put it to a vote here in
Yeah.
a little bit. So
As long as you listen.
yes,
Call yourself whatever you want, as long as you listen.
You listening is a big deal. It shows that you are interested in figuring out ways to have conversations that spark change in the hearts of Americans. That's where we live. This is an American podcast.
And if you do follow us, we would also appreciate you let your friends and family know about us as well. You never know who out there could be needing some reassurance that there are people that think like them, that are open-minded, and in this area, that there are a lot of people that do think like us, that are able to put politics to one side and see the person on the other end of that conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's the important thing. We want to remind all of our listeners, there are people on the other end of that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remember that. Whether it's a good opinion, a bad opinion, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there's a person on the other end of that conversation.
Action items for this episode: educate yourself so that you can have
Spark
those
a conversation.
Yes, and have confidence behind it. Don't just arbitrarily run up to somebody yelling at them to vote, and you don't have anything to back up why they should.
Or disagree with someone's position on something without knowing what you need to know to be able to have a healthy argument. Because arguments are good to have. You don't. A conversation can be an argument. You can be on two opposing sides of a view and not meet in the middle.
An argument doesn't have to be angry either.
Exactly. An argument does not have to be angry, and that is a common misconception.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My action point is please stop believing everything on social media. Be really cognizant of the things that you take in on social media. Be very wary about posting things and believing things just because you see them.
Yeah.
We've seen an onslaught of one particular theory in the last day that more Wisconsin voters voted than were registered voters in the state. So it's election fraud. Da 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 da. Well, it's just misinformation. It's,
they were using old numbers.
They were using old numbers.
But as soon as someone sees that and it backs their agenda, like they're going to push that.
Right, and it got spread all over, and it was untrue. And then you have a whole country questioning our electoral process in a way that, they should be questioning it, but not in that way. Everything was above board, and yet we're spreading this huge conspiracy theory. And it's really dangerous. So I just want to urge you to be wary of social media. It's a free-for-all out there, guys. And the only thing we can do is try to control our environments and make sure that we're not posting and sharing things that are misinformation or disinformation. So that's my action point for this week.
I'm gonna piggyback off of her and a point that she made earlier. If you see this misinformation and you know that it's false, and speak up, say something, cite your sources, and like she said, do it 5 times.
5 times, yeah.
So we can oversaturate with the correct information.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my action point for this week.
I'll wrap up the action points with wrapped into an anecdote of an interaction that I had in social media earlier today, since we are talking about social medias. There was someone that had posted something about how they don't believe that the votes are counting or they matter anymore because they saw that in Virginia that Joe Biden had been declared the winner with while Trump had so many other red counties throughout the state. Is obviously all these red counties. Why isn't Trump winning? Well, you've got to take into consideration one. Virginia has a lot of rural areas. The rural areas are going to vote usually Republican, but the rural areas also have a lack of people. That's what makes them rural. The places that voted for Joe Biden were the bigger cities that have more people, more votes. Okay?
Yeah.
Also, the information that she was posting from was I'm assuming it was a screenshot that she had made, or this person had made, sorry. where it was only 4% of the votes had been counted so far. So while, yes, on election night, it's easy to think that, oh, they're already calling it for this person. What is going on? The votes haven't been counted. They're not calling it. It's a race. That's why it's called a race. When you're watching a race, you constantly keep track of who's in first, who's in second. So you make projections based off of that. And if you read in there, it says projected winner, this person, based off of the trends that they're seeing. So again, don't believe everything that you're seeing on social media. Make sure that what you are looking at, you are being able to read and dissect the information and know what it's actually saying before you start spreading all this information, all this misinformation. Yeah. So my action point for everyone would be to, if you are going to be on social media, make sure that you're paying attention to what is actually being said. Deconstruct the information and see what it is about, and then make the decision to have a reaction to it or not. So that's my, however you guys want to phrase that.
There's a reality about that, though. Yeah. You know, some people don't care to figure out if it's
exactly. People just want it. They want that gut reaction. Yeah. And we just have to be able to dial that back a little bit, get a little bit more grounded.
There you go. Well, I think that does it for us. Sparktacular 2020. The election's still not over. We are currently watching results pile in. But let's do ourselves a favor. Let's turn off the TV. Let's breathe. Let's relax our shoulders. Let's get some water.
Tell your loved ones that you love them.
Yeah, just sit and talk to your family. Just be Americans together. Yeah. Because that's what this is about right now. Try to focus away from all the negativity. Try and dial it back a little bit.
Let's make America dignified again. Let's try that.
Okay.
Yeah. No matter what happens with this election, we're all here together.
And we will be here tomorrow. And we need to remember that. Everyone is going to be fine.
Yeah. And with that, we'll have Cody take us out.
I wrote this 5 minutes before the show.
It's official Sparktacular 2020. Thank you so much again.
Like, share, subscribe, follow us on all social media at Spark in the Valley. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Spark in the Valley is a Purple Mountain Pods production. It is hosted by Julius Johnson, Alex Sharp, Jean-Pierre Vasquez, and Cody Hensley. This podcast is produced and directed by Julius Johnson and co-produced by Alex Sharp, Jean-Pierre Vasquez, and Cody Hensley. Music supervising and original music by Cody Hensley. Studio engineering and management by Rob Barnett. Research supervision by Alex Sharp. Social media management by Jean-Pierre Vasquez. Special thanks to McMinn County Democratic Party and the McMinn Young Democrats.